All right, 1 2 1 2 in the place to be. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing out there? I am Frank Red, and this is another edition of the Dungeon Show. Well, thank you for joining me tonight. We have a lot to talk about. Hopefully, your week has been everything that you wanted it to be. Mine has been cool. I got some great news to share with the listeners on this particular program that I know is going to make you happy. It made me happy when I actually found out about it. Interesting week. We're getting closer to the start of the NFL season, and the NFL is like sports crack. That's what it is. You know, as horrible as crack is, football has the same effect, but it's good for us. We can't wait for it. We fiend for it. And I'm really looking forward to this season because unlike the NBA, and to a certain degree the NFL, to a certain degree Major League Baseball, hope feels eternal. I guess that's the analogy. In spring training, every team thinks that they have a shot. In the NFL, every year, a couple of teams that did not perform well the previous year, they become good. They make the playoffs. And if you make the playoffs, you have a chance to make it to the Super Bowl. So I'm interested in the preseason starting this week in earnest. We saw the Hall of Fame game. We can talk about that. Some interesting things that we can take from that game, even though it doesn't mean anything. A little closer to home with regards to the NBA. Yes, it's still going on. The Jonathan Kuminga Golden State Warrior scenario is still front and center. And we're going to talk about it. And not because we're trying to get clicks, not because we're trying to, quote, get ratings and be topical. It's because it's really sad. Most of the people that follow the Warriors know that this Jonathan Kuminga scenario should have never happened, to be quite honest. And I always harken back to my knowledge and I'm going to call it a casual friendship. I mean, we're friendly. The friendly relationship that I have with Mark Jackson. And taking nothing away from Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is brilliant as a coach. But if I had a mortgage, if I had some money, I would be willing to bet X amount of dollars that Mark Jackson and Jonathan Kuminga would have had a better relationship. And I think you could make that statement about numerous coaches. Terry Stotts, who's on the Warriors bench, I think would have done a good job coaching Jonathan Kuminga. And making that statement doesn't take anything away from Steve Kerr's brilliance. He is a brilliant coach. 4 championships, you can't take that from him. But the Warriors, and there's probably layers to this, really played a major role in this relationship getting to the point where it feels that it can't be fixed. Now, I'm not going to absolve Jonathan Kuminga himself and certainly his representation, and we can talk about that tonight as well. I got a lot of good nuggets from my man Sai Saunders, I think it's Sai's last name. But Sai is the owner of Golden Days, a great podcast and a great YouTube channel. And I think Sai laid it out pretty clearly, and we're going to get into that. Ironically, I put a tweet out midweek that covered a lot of what Sai had to say even before I had saw what Sai said. But I think Sai did a phenomenal job just intellectualizing what has transpired. So if you care, I care. And we're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga because, you know, we keep reading it. The Warriors are in a holding pattern. And they have. They've been that way this whole summer. And for everybody who thinks that Jonathan Kuminga didn't have any leverage, he does have leverage. Yes, he does. Is he going to lose some money? Probably. Yeah. But freedom, I don't know if you can put a price tag on freedom. You can't put a price tag on freedom. So if we want to talk about that, we can get into that. I'm certainly going to raise it. The San Francisco 49ers, I can't wait for the season to start. It turns out that the Jawan Jennings deal has been more of a hiccup than a problem. I think he wants his money. I think he deserves a new contract. But I think he probably got counseled by somebody, and they said, listen, dude, the only way that you can possibly get played is to get on the field and do the best job you can do. Now, he's had a hammy or some type of leg injury. I think he's going to be okay. But by and large, it has not been an issue. And we all know that when there's no scuttlebutt happening with your NFL team, that's generally good news. So I'm excited about the 49ers season. I think it's going to come down to them and the LA Rams, who are stacked at the wide receiver position. They got a good running back, and they got a Hall of Fame quarterback and a Hall of Fame coach. So, the Rams are more than formidable for the 49ers, but I can't wait. I can't wait to see those guys battling. Seattle, I don't really believe in Seattle. And Arizona, I think Arizona almost won by mistake last year. They won because, teams gave games away. The 49ers lost to Arizona. I don't think Arizona beat them. So if we're going to talk some NFL, we can do that. A couple of interesting stories. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders. And I'm not walking around with pom-poms and I'm not on the, Shedeur Sanders gravy train. The fact of the matter is I've never got off. All right? I never got off. I watched every game that Colorado played last year. Oh, and I watched him for the past couple of years, and all he did was distinguish himself as one of the best quarterbacks in college. And if you want to say that he acted inappropriately during the draft process, I'm okay with that. And if you say that that's the reason why he lasted into the 5th round, I'm okay with that. But don't tell me that kid sucks. And that was the narrative. That was the narrative during draft time. It was late spring, in the summer, until he got on the field. Now, does this mean that, Shedeur is gonna kill it in preseason? I don't know. I have no idea. But I do know that this kid can play. And he looks every bit the first-round prospect that we saw in college. I just want one person who had negative things to say about Shedeur's talent, not his conduct, his talent. I just want one person to come out and say, you know what? I was wrong. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. I also got some thoughts on Trey Lance, who, again, a lot of people labeled this guy a bust. I never did. I never said Trey Lance was a bust. There are some respectable people who cover the 49ers who also said, you know what? He's not the best fit for the team, but I'm not going to call the guy a bum. There were people out there calling Trey Lance an absolute bum. I thought it was totally unfair. And the likelihood of those individuals coming out and saying, listen, I made a mistake, I was wrong, is highly unlikely. I'm happy for the guy. And you guys know I got a soft spot for Jim Harbaugh. I'll tell my Jim Harbaugh story one more time, maybe later in the show, but I'm just going to say this. Jim Harbaugh was one of the few Division I coaches, and he was Division I AA, who gave Josh Johnson, an opportunity to play quarterback in college. And it happened by accident. The rumor is Harbaugh was looking for some of the House of Champions, Bill Russell's high school. He was over there looking at some of their players. And the coach at the time said, yo, Jim, you're looking for a quarterback. You need to go over to Oakland Tech and look at this kid, Josh Johnson. Needs to say, the rest is history. All right? The rest is history. So Jim Harbaugh knows how to coach quarterbacks. He knows how to coach quarterbacks. He knows how to assess what they can do and what they can't do, and he keeps them out of harm's way. So I got some thoughts about Trey Lance developing not into some Pro Bowl quarterback. I don't know if he will, but the dude is having a career. You know, if you're a backup in your NFL career, there's no shame in that. There's no shame in that at all. So based on what I saw, Trey Lance has improved quite a bit, and he's probably where he should be at this stage of his career. Another topic I want to talk about, and it's interesting because it's acute. I want to talk about Shannon Sharpe. And I want to talk about Shannon Sharpe because most people believe that he fumbled the bag. $100 million supposedly on the table for his podcast and all the other media entities that he's involved with. He gets fired from ESPN and everybody's like, how could you do that? It was stupid, right? Somebody like him should not have been in that situation, but life happens, right? And you got to recover. And I think that I can't think of anything more uplifting than to be at the Hall of Fame, inducting his brother into the Hall of Fame, Sterling Sharpe. So nobody wants to lose $100 million and be the embarrassment of the industry for a particular time. But I got something to say about Shannon Sharpe. He might have fumbled the bag, but I think he's going to get it back. And I'm going to tell you why. Shannon Sharpe is the best in the industry at what he does. Nobody is better than him doing person-to-person interviews in that environment. And I'm going to tell you why I feel about that. You probably have some thoughts also. Maybe you disagree, and that's fine. But I'm going to tell you why he's excellent, and I'm going to tell you why the people who write the checks are looking now and saying, wait a minute, we might have something. Just because ESPN banished him and mainstream media did you notice that his core audience has not left him at all? They have not left him. Club Shay Shay is still a thing, and it's a damn good one. I mean, I think it's kind of analogous to Joe Rogan in a lot of ways. Joe Rogan's not on network television doing shows. He don't give a crap about that. So I'm going to talk about Shannon Sharpe a little bit because I think that quietly he's making some moves that might reposition him in a pretty favorable position. And then we're also going to talk about the Valkaries. I want to get that in as well. They went 3-2 on a tough roadie. I actually thought that their season was over. Losing Kayla Thornton, I didn't think they could compete. I don't know how they won 3 games. I'm still going to say that. I have no idea how that team with that talent won 3 games on the road against tough opponents. Give Coach Nakase a salute. I call it Coach K. And all of those players, I just love their grit. I do. I'm a big fan. So salute Valkaries, because right now I think if they go 500, they're going to eke into the playoffs. All right. I've set the table with some things out there. I got some more to talk about, but I want to make sure that I reach out to the listeners out there, people who are hanging on, putting their comments out there in the chat. Before I do that, I want to acknowledge 2 people. Greg Papa, Hall of Fame as far as I'm concerned. The voice of during his career, he's done play-by-play for the A's the Golden State Warriors, the Oakland Raiders, and the San Francisco 49ers. He's going through a tough time right now, battling cancer. What form, I don't think that's publicly known. But I hope that he recovers and is back doing what he loves to do so much. But I'm behind him as much as I can as he endures a pretty tough challenge to deal with this horrible disease. So, Greg Papa, I salute you. And also, I know many of you care about it. She might be listening now, but I reached out to the great Vicky over the past week, and it took some time, but she finally got back to me, and I think she's doing better. You know, she was having some challenges, but she's doing better. She said she might listen tonight. I said, if you can get better by not listening tonight, then don't listen. So I don't know if she is or not, but I just want to send a major shout out to her. She's great. She's been part of this program from the start, and I really, really appreciate her so much, along with all of you. All right, so let's get this show started. And I want to acknowledge some folks. RC Rules, what's up? How you doing? In my second home. He's in Bangkok. Yo, brother, what's up? How you doing? Young West says, do you think it's possible Kuminga plays another game in a Warrior uniform? I'm going to say 30%. It is possible. No cap, 757. Cyrus is a known Kuminga stan. You mean fan? He's definitely a Kuminga supporter. But I'm gonna tell you something. What I hear from Cy, you know, what I'm reading stuff now, I think he's pretty even keeled. I think he has the right take on this. It's measured. It isn't like pro Kuminga camp and anti-Warrior. No, I think it's very balanced. I think you should go, you know, subscribe to his pod. He does it every week, I believe, with Mark Jones's daughter. He's doing a good job. I look at the clips, and very insightful. Very insightful. Young West, let's go, TG. From Side Show to Frank Show. Love it, love it, love it. My man Keys says, I heard the Warriors are offering Kuminga a 2-year, $25 annually. Gave Butler $52 a year. Warriors don't have. You know what? I mean, the money part can be worked out. I thought that he deserved $30 million just based off the market. You know, the idea that he didn't sign a 5-year, $150 million deal last year, I don't believe that. I don't believe it. And then I heard Monty Poole and Donta Hill say no, they didn't offer that. And if you look at these numbers, they certainly didn't offer that. So I think the Warriors either had it in for Kuminga or his agent, or they grossly misread the market. Just because teams don't have the cap space to offer market value, it does not mean that you're not worth market value. It means that an organization is taking the opportunity to squeeze you. That's all that means. The teams that have, quote, cap space, those numbers are going up. I mean, Phoenix damn near is offering, you know, $80 to $90 million a year. What, a 4-year, $90 million deal? How can one organization view him and not like, and the Warriors don't? And Scott Perry, you know, Scott Perry don't care about any organization other than the one that he's working for. And if you're Scott Perry and you can get rid of DeMar DeRozan's contract, maybe there's a deal out there, and your offseason is you get Jonathan Kuminga, Russell Westbrook to be a backup point guard, maybe get one of the steals of the draft, and Nick Clifford. Oh, you're shining right now. You're shining. So, emotionally, I think Jonathan Kuminga is just like, you know what? I can't trust these people. And when say people, he's probably, it's Kerr. He might sign the tender to 7.9 because he knows he's going to be a free agent next year. And I would suggest he grits his teeth and goes out there and be a professional, not to the extent that he's going to get himself hurt or be in a bad situation. But I wouldn't be a problem. I would be a pro, and I think that's up to his agent to make sure that he's doing everything that he can do to make sure that he does represent himself in the best possible manner, because he will get his money. He deserves it. He deserves it. Young West says, Frank, do you see the Warriors Sleepy Floyd movie, Freaky Tales? What did you think of it? I thought it was brilliant. Yes, I saw Freaky Tales. I saw Freaky Tales when it first came out. I thought it was awesome. I'm still trying to figure out what's true and what's not true. But, as a writer myself, I've written a screenplay. I keep telling you guys that. I thought it was creatively written. I thought Too Short was excellent. I'm looking for Short to be in some more movies, not playing Short. He was great. And Pedro Pascal, to me, he's the actor of the year. Who's had a better year than Pedro Pascal? Nobody. So if you haven't seen Freaky Tales, it's interesting. I love it. How about you? What do you think, Wes? Shannon Sharpe was an excellent tight end. He was one of my favorite players growing up. Yeah, multiple-time Super Bowl champion. His on-the-field performance goes without saying. Is spectacular, a Hall of Famer. But not many people get a second run like he has. He's actually known more for being a broadcaster, a sports analyst, personality, than he is as a player to, these young kids out here. And make no mistake about it, he's from South Carolina. I mean, you get all of that. He brings all of that to the table. But the reality is that connection that he has with his guests and his viewers, the people who support him, I think it's the best in the industry right now. And I'm going to tell you why. When you're doing those interviews, when I should do interviews, I used to book a lot of guests, right? And on occasion, my producer up in SAC would book some guests for me as well. I don't think I ever became an excellent interviewer because I just didn't do a lot of them, but I became professional and respectful. I could do a respectful interview. And if I really knew the person, I felt comfortable, it was great. But I don't think that was my strongest asset. And I'm just being honest. Shannon Sharpe, what he does is whomever he's interviewing, that person appears to be the most comfortable that they've ever been in front of somebody interviewing them. I don't know what it is, but he has that magic. I had a producer who was brilliant. He's the best producer. I think he's the best in Northern California. I'm not going to mention his name. I will, maybe I will at some point, but he's phenomenal. He's having a great career now. All right, he was my producer. Just like NBC or CBS, literally, he would be feeding me questions in my ear. It's interesting how that whole thing works. That's how television and radio works. Fortunately for me, I'm a hard worker. So I would have like 25 questions. And I would use the majority of my questions. But maybe there was something that I didn't think about. My producer was always right there to feed it to me right in my ear, and I would come out and ask the question. Shannon Sharpe is the best at that. And I was thinking to myself just over the past 3 or 4 days, he's going to get that $100 million contract for his podcast. He's going to get it back. And I'm going to tell you why. And I have zero intel, none. I'm I'm a good critical thinker, and I got common sense. None of us know when Puffy Combs is going to get out of jail, right? None of us know. But ultimately, he's probably going to do an interview. The first interview that Puffy Combs does, I think he's going to do it with Shannon Sharpe. I believe that because to me, that's the perfect environment for him to do it. That interview will be bigger than the Cat Williams interview. And the Cat Williams interview was one of the, I mean, it broke the internet. I think a Shannon Sharpe, Sean Combs interview, 2-3 hours, oh, he will break the internet. 100 million? How about 200 million? He's gonna get his money back. Sit on that for a second. And why? Is because he's damn good at what he does. Conventional television, conventional media, that ain't it right now. A couple of weeks ago, some information got out about how much money Joe Budden allegedly makes. And it came out that it said Joe Budden is making $1 million a month doing the Joe Budden podcast, talking shit and having fun and getting his friends paid. I love it. I love this medium. I love this industry. And I love the fact that what you bring to the table, if it's unique, if it's honest, can really resonate with people. That's what it's all about. I love it. I really do. Young West says, Greg Papa and Jim Barnett were my favorite for the Warriors broadcast in the 90s. First of all, it's not even fair to compare those guys to anybody. You know, hey man, I root for people. Bob Fitzgerald is one of the most professional broadcasters in the industry. I mean, fundamentally, Bob Fitzgerald is talented as hell. You know, you think it's easy to pronounce all of those names during the Olympics? There's a reason why Bob Fitzgerald works in the Olympics. He is a professional broadcaster. And Kalina Azubuike gets better every year. Is he my favorite? No. Does he do a professional job? I think he does. You know, I actually think that Bob Fitzgerald and Kalina Azubuike, I think they get a raw deal. I mean, they're rated as one of the worst local NBA broadcast teams in the NBA. But who cares? That's somebody else's poll. I listen to the broadcast, and I think they do a decent job. I loved listening to Greg Papa do basketball. As great as he is in basketball, he's equally brilliant doing, as great as he is doing football, he's equally talented at basketball. Why? Because he got flavor, man. He got flavor, he has swag, he had all of that before anybody was even talking about that. And Jim Barnett is an encyclopedia when it comes to basketball. I've had the opportunity to spend a little time with Jim Barnett, talking basketball with him at various basketball camps and in other circles. I don't want to spoil it because he kind of work with a certain group of folks, but I should see Jim Barnett in some of the strangest places, at cafes late at night, doing positive things for the community. So Jim Barnett is, I mean, he's a Hall of Fame as far as I'm concerned. He's in my Hall of Fame. And Jim Barnett also played like international Olympic-style basketball tournaments for a long period of time. I think Jim Barnett was still playing basketball in his 60s, in his 50s and his 60s. He was still playing. still shooting lights out. If you don't know about Jim Barnett, you need to ask somebody. True institution. I miss him. Glendosha says prayers up for Vicky. Yeah, definitely prayers up for Vicky. She's so astute. She's so honest. She's so loyal. And I get the sense that she's on the road to recovery, but I think if she's listening now, or she'll go back and listen at some time, she will appreciate your thoughts, Glendosha. Thank you. Aussie Rules, same thing. Best of Vicky. I love it. Andrew to go. Because the answer is Steve Kerr, do not want to play JK. Redo that for me so I can get I think I understand, but give me more of a context, please. Key says, so basically the Warriors offered Kuminga the same as Moody. I don't get it. I mean, man, listen. I got more respect for Jonathan Kuminga than I ever had before. This dude wants to be out of the Warriors organization so bad, he's like, I don't care if I leave guaranteed money on the table. I want out. I don't want to be here no more. It's analogous to being in a bad relationship or bad marriage. I've never been married, so I can't speak to that. But when a relationship is done, you're just so emotionally drained. And it's not nasty. It's not nasty. I haven't had a lot of girlfriends in my life. Thank God. I don't need to have a lot of relationships, but the ones that I had have all been respectable. All. I don't have any enemies with women who I've been involved with. We're still pretty chill, but it was over. Kuminga, I think, feels that he's been done wrong. He wants out. I think if the Warriors offered him $30 million, a 3-year deal, $30 million, he'd take it. Because they would ultimately trade him. But the Warriors, I mean, how disrespectful is this? We're going to allegedly offer Kuminga a 2-year deal with a team option. Get out of here. Really? Really? Come on, man. What do you think of the idea of the Patriots trading for Micah Parsons? I don't know what their draft capital is, but I mean, you would literally, 3 first-round picks? And I think Dallas probably still wouldn't trade him. I mean, Micah Parsons is a 10-time Pro Bowl caliber player. So as archaic and as ancient as the Dallas Cowboys appear to be, and I think it's really Jerry. I actually think that Stephen Jones is intimidated by his pops. I believe that. Because, I mean, nobody with a right mind would do business the way that Jerry Jones does. I mean, this is some deep stuff, man. I'm not going to make any accusations or draw any conclusions about Jerry Jones, but this is deep. This is some old South type stuff. I mean, why would you treat a human being like that? Why? This is an organization that literally is worth what? $8, $9, $10 billion? And you don't want to pay a guy a pittance compared to how much money you have that speaks to his value? Are you kidding me? That's why nobody can say anything bad about Mike Tomlin to me, or the Pittsburgh Steelers, or the Rooneys. I mean, decades and decades and decades of excellence. You can make an argument that T.J. Watt doesn't deserve the contract that he received. I'm happy he got it. What it says is that, yeah, you're a good player. We want you to produce, but we respect you. You're valuable to our organization. You know how disrespectful it is to be a professional athlete and then have an organization say, well, we'll talk to you, but we won't talk to your agent. Really? Really? That's like any of us listening to this program right now, and Steven Spielberg says, listen, I want you to be in a movie, right? You know, the movie's going to be $1 billion movie, but you can't have an agent. I'm not doing it. No, I'm not doing it. Dallas Cowboys are not trading Minkah Fitzpatrick, bottom line. No Cap says, because Bob is a homer. And Kalina Azubuike is just horrible. I see why they rank the worst, just being honest. I'm not going to call Kalina the worst. I'm not. What I'm going to say to you is he's getting better every year. He gets more and more comfortable every year. Bob can sound like a homer. Yeah, he can. He can. But in the same breath, I think you need to say he's an excellent broadcaster. Because some people might get that confused. He's an excellent broadcaster. But myself, growing up in New York, as a kid, listening to Marv Albert, who was the voice of the Knicks, and NBC, the national voice of the NBA. Obviously, at that stage of my life, I didn't know the difference between a local broadcaster and a national broadcaster. You never got the inclination that Marv Albert was being employed by the Knicks. Because in New York, they don't tolerate that. They don't. And if you ask me, yo, Red, if you had to be a homer to work for the Warriors for 20 plus years, make them, have them make you a millionaire, give you rings and take care of your family, I'd probably be a homer too. I'm being kind of flippant, but let's get down to brass tacks. I would think that in reality, there's some middle ground. And I don't think that Bob is nowhere near as homerish as he used to be. When if you think he's a homer now, he used to be more of a homer. But as a broadcaster myself and somebody who's worked in the industry, I have to keep saying that he's excellent at broadcasting. Keep that in mind. Bob Fitzgerald was a sports talk show host on KMBR for 25 years? He also has done major college football, Notre Dame football, and other teams for decades. This dude's a brilliant broadcaster. Let's not forget that. He's brilliant at what he does. They like Kalina, which is important. They like Kalina. They like him. And he's getting better. Who were your favorite basketball players growing up? Dr. J, Walt Clyde Frazier, Bill Walton, Magic Johnson. Those are my favorites. Bill Walton, Magic Johnson, Walt Frazier, Earl Monroe, Dr. J. Yeah, those are my favorites. I've said it before, I said it again. I'm actually named after Bill Walton. Bill Walton was called Big Red. That was my nickname as a kid growing up, Big Red. It was because I was such a big fan of Bill Walton. And I'm a kid. I'm a little kid. He's 3,000 miles away. I don't know him. But Bill Walton, a lot of you, RIP. You guys know Bill Walton from being kind of goofy and bringing a lot of attention to himself. But he was highly intelligent, and he was a phenomenal basketball player. I'm going to say for a minute, Bill Walton was the best player in the world. For a minute. It wasn't long because he had problems with his feet. But Bill Walton was a hell of a basketball player. And possibly maybe the greatest college player of all time. Maybe. Andrew the Goat says, I really think that Drake May is going to have a breakout season this year for the Patriots. He has everything working for him. As a really good coach, obviously a superstar offensive coordinator. He has talent. I think he's going to continually improve, but I don't know if that's going to show up in the win column as much as Patriot fans want it to. But that's the beauty about football. I mean, I'm sure the Patriot fans right now are like, we're going to the playoffs. I'm actually more interested in seeing Justin Fields. You know, I want to see Justin Fields perform over a period of time with the Jets, because the Jets defense is just as good as New England's or better. Justin Fields, when he didn't even know what he was doing, damn near ran for 1,000 yards with the Chicago Bears. The year that he spent in Pittsburgh last year helped him. So I love football, man. I love football. Can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, who's in that division? You got the Jets. You got New England. You got Buffalo. And who else? What I was saying is JK wants out of the Warriors because Steve is not going to play him a ton of minutes that he wants. Yeah. I mean, listen. I actually wrote this down. I was thinking, like, as I was preparing for this show over the past couple of days, I was thinking to myself, which organizations have owners in which they would have stepped in and put the kibosh on this? Jeannie Buss. This would not have happened in LA with Jeannie Buss as the owner. Mark Cuban definitely would not have stood for it. No way. No way. Josh Kroenke in Denver? No way. He fired a championship coach and a general manager. He was not going to allow that to happen. I mean, listen, man. Here's when Jonathan Kuminga won me over. Have you ever heard anybody say that Jonathan Kuminga doesn't work hard? I've never heard anybody say that Jonathan Kuminga does not work hard. I've never heard that. Most NBA players fail who have talent. Most of the ones that fail who have legitimate talent, bad decision making, you know, hanging out late at night, casinos, strippers, you know, that type of stuff. And don't work hard. Those, you know, I mean, we've seen so many of those players not make it. Has Jonathan Kuminga ever got in trouble? This is year 5. He's never gotten in trouble. I've never heard a player say he doesn't work hard. He puts out more videos than any pro in the NBA in the summer. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but not by a lot. Is he probably the best practice player? No. Has he been a little immature? Yes, of course, he has been. You know, has he totally bought into the we as opposed to me? No. No, he's getting there. He's made strides. But Jonathan Kuminga, he's not the biggest problem that some of these teams have to deal with. Not by a long stretch. Wiseman and now Kuminga. Warriors, like the Giants, need to rebuild and be average at best the next decade. Wow. A decade's a long time, Keish. It's a long time. I think Jonathan Kuminga needs to play out this year and sign with SAC. I think Jonathan Kuminga in a Scott Perry run organization will be a hit. And the thing I love about this for SAC is because they got Isaac Jones. Isaac Jones is an upcoming player, second round pick out of Washington State last year. The Kings would start Jonathan Kuminga and Keegan Murray together. But that would be a three-headed monster, maybe even a four-headed monster if they wanted to go small. They would have a rotation of Sabonis, Isaac Jones, Kuminga, and Keegan Murray. If I'm a fan of the Sacramento Kings, I like that. I like watching that. In a team that's going to play up and down basketball, I like that. Jonathan Kuminga, 35 minutes a game, just being unleashed. I can do that. So what? They don't make the playoffs. They've been in the lottery. Do they have a pick next year? Did they give their pick up next year for Clifford? I don't know. That's a pretty exciting team to watch. I'll say that. TG says, dang, what did I miss about Vicky? She okay? Is this Vicky Boone? That's in the chat. Yes. You know as much as I know. I mean, she was having some health challenges. She's back on her feet and on the road to recovery. That's what I know. And she reached out to me recently and told me that she was going to try to listen to the program, which means that, you know, she was in a certain state. I said, great, but if you can get even better by not listening to the program, don't listen to it. So I assume she's on the road to recovery, but I can't give you any more details than the ones that I have. I wouldn't do it anyway, but just to let everybody know that she did contact me and she's presumably getting better, but she had a tough time. She did. You realize the Patriots have the money to pay Micah Parsons, right? Like literally right now. Yeah, it's not about money. You think Jerry Jones is going to trade a guy who's going to be on 10 Pro Bowl teams? No, he's not doing that. And he shouldn't. What he should do is pay him and stop playing. Michael Parsons is not getting traded. No Cap says the team option is so that his new team will be able to decline his offer and sign him to a bigger and longer deal. But OFC won't take it because he knows that he has to fleece a team now because he's not. I don't know what that means. I'm not a great acronym reader. I'm sorry. Oh boy. Okay. I'm sorry, but I think it's funny that the Steelers signed a pretty washed up Aaron Rodgers. Andrew, I mean, why are you buying into that narrative? Do you know what Aaron Rodgers' stats were last year? Do you know what his stats were last year? That guy threw 26 touchdowns last year. I think he threw, 9 picks, 13 picks? Now, can Aaron Rodgers move? No. He's 43. But he's not your normal 43-year-old. You know, I mean, have you ever been 43? I don't think so. 43 ain't that damn bad, even in football terms. The onus is on the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line to keep Rodgers upright. That dude's arm is as good as 90% of the quarterbacks in the NFL. He's accurate as hell. And guess what? I doubt if he ever throws the ball more than 35 times this year in one game. He's probably going to throw the ball somewhere between 20 and 30 times. Pittsburgh's a running team, and they're going to run the hell out the football. You know, Pittsburgh went out and got Jonnu Smith because they want to run a 2 tight end set. 8-9 slants over the middle to the outside. That's what Pittsburgh's going to do. And a couple of times a game, they'll go deep to Metcalf. Aaron Rodgers is going to surprise you, dude. Keith says, Cowboys waiting to sign Micah like they do to their big money deals. That's why they overpay their players. Zeke, Dak, and Micah next. It's stupid, isn't it stupid? I mean, if he has to go through that to get his money, then so be it. But I'm like, why? Why? I don't get it. TG, Frank has the best show in the Bay Area, bar none. This guy's great. Who's that? Thank you. I appreciate you. Glendocious, how did you and Grant Napier get along? I miss him on the radio. Grant and I got along fine from this perspective. He never disrespected me. Never. I mean, literally. Now, he might have looked at me and go, yo, I don't want to mess with that dude. But I don't, but Grant, and I'm going to say this in the most positive way, that dude had so much confidence and was so arrogant. He probably didn't care how big I was. Grant Napier was the king of Sacramento. And I would see him in the hallway and he would say, yo, what's up, buddy? Simple as that. What's up, buddy? Hey, how you doing, Grant? And, we had a couple of interactions at some celebrity golf tournaments. But, I'm sure he used to use some of those cats running around there like they were like gravel on the ground and he was in a dump truck or something. But he was never disrespectful to me. And I think just like in hip hop, I'm giving you this hip hop scenario. If someone asks you about a hip hop artist or a record, and they say, "Well, yo, you ever heard that record? You know, what's up with homeboy or what's up with homegirl?" They say, "Yeah, they're decent." To get a decent means that salute, you're pretty good. And I think that that's kind of how Grant viewed me. I had a once a week show on Sunday night, and you know, nobody gave a crap when I started. No one cared, right? But if you're riding around on a Sunday night in SAC or in the Bay, and you say, "What the hell is going on the radio? What's up with, who's this guy?" I had the #1 show in my time slot, the #1 show for 10 years. You ask anybody, they'll tell you, "Yo, Frank Red's that dude." #1. So while I wasn't competing with people who do it every day, I had the respect of my peers. That's all I cared about. I was as professional as anybody. My character was exemplary. I treated people with respect. I applauded other people's success. You know, I hope that Grant Napier in his own world gets another opportunity. I don't believe in burying people, man. I don't. Life is too short. It's too damn short. Now, most of the time, your connections and your skin color matters in this business. Because as hard as people work in this business, and people work their asses off, they work hard. This is fun, dude. To work in this industry, it is a lot of fun. A lot of fun. When I was a poor kid covering the Warriors and covering the Kings with no money at that stage of my life, some of the best meals that I would eat during that week was the meals they fed to the media. The Sharks treat the media like they're part of their family, dude. So I'm telling all of you, I mean, I love to applaud other people's success. If you get an opportunity to work in this business, do it. It'll literally be a time in your life. The Sharks treated me so well. I had so much fun covering the Sharks. I've covered NBA All-Star games. Yeah. So Grant and I got along fine. He was the #1 guy, the king of SAC. And I just wish that he understood that society was changing and the variables by which the business worked was changing. Because he was one of the better broadcasters. He's one of the best local play-by-play guys in the business. He was. And the Kings knew they couldn't mess around because they went out and got a guy who is equally great or maybe even better, and Mark Jones. Mark Jones is a national voice. And they knew that they needed to get somebody like Mark Jones because Grant was outstanding. Outstanding. As a Patriots fan, I want to see the Jets do horrible with it. Well, they're not. I'm a New York Jets fan, man. The Jets practice 20 minutes from my house when I live in New York. I think JK is going to go to the Phoenix Suns, not the Kings. I think you're onto something. If I'm the Golden State Warriors and I ultimately let him walk out the door, I don't want him 90 miles down the road. I don't, because he will be a hit in Sacramento. And I'm going to tell you this about Golden One Arena. Um, when you look at like the spectacle of Chase, right? The environment, the outside, the monuments. I mean, it's beautiful. But from a viewing perspective, Golden One is a better viewing experience than Chase. It's just better. It's because how the arenas are designed. Chase is really steep. The higher you get, the more blood comes out of your nose. Golden One has that lean back, Fat Joe type of persona. You're leaning back. There's not a bad seat in Golden One. Not a bad seat. And those fans will love Jonathan Kuminga. Love him. Thank you. OFC means of course. All right, thank you. It's because I don't like Aaron Rodgers' attitude as a player. He's very cocky. I would not want him on my Patriots. Yeah, he is cocky. He is. But you don't have to hang out with him. I mean, I'm going to tell you something about some pro athletes. Do you like pro athletes who are real nice when the camera's on and then behind, when the camera's off, when nobody's watching, the total jerks? I have less respect for those people. Show me who you are. Be who you are. Be who you are. You'll figure it out one day that the world doesn't revolve around you. Maybe that's where Aaron Rodgers is now. If I'm a teammate on a professional team, I want to know, are you invested in my success? Do you work hard? Can you help me win? Those are the things I care about. I don't have to spend my personal time with you. I don't. It's funny. I mean, I liked most of my teammates when I played at Fordham, but there was a couple of cats I didn't like. These are my teammates. And it's funny, one particular guy, after we got older and away from college, we had somehow, had a conversation, I don't know, digitally or whatever the case. And he goes, something to the effect, yeah, I was a real jerk, wasn't I? And I could have slammed him. You know what I said? I said, we were all young and you were just kind of figuring out who you were at that particular time. I mean, and hey man, if we needed to take it to another level, that would not have been good. I don't think he wanted to do that. And I didn't want to do that because of the consequences. But the reality is we helped each other be successful and we won games. That's all I cared about. So I'm happy that Aaron Rodgers is on Pittsburgh. Have you heard the reverent terms that Aaron Rodgers uses in talking about Mike Tomlin? I mean, literally, like it's his JV football coach, his first coach. That's how he talks about Mike Tomlin. He understands. And Pittsburgh is the type of organization, they got Hall of Famers on that team, dude. They're not taking any crap from anybody. You come to that environment, you got to be your best self. I think Aaron knows that. I'm looking for Aaron Rodgers to have a phenomenal year. If he retires, fine. He's probably going to be on some network. He's a smart guy, very smart. I'm rooting for him. Yeah, I don't mind cocky players. I don't. I like players who produce. Do your job. As a New England Patriots fan, I would love to see the Steelers try to run the ball and do what they do against this upgraded in the Patriots defense. It's going to be scary. They don't want Pittsburgh, dude. They don't want to. Stop it. Stop it right now. They don't. Glendocious, I can't wait to watch Shador on Friday. I wouldn't be shocked if he balls out. Yeah, listen, Glendocious, I'm going to temper my emotion because I want to see him be successful, but this is the NFL. I just wanted him to get some respect. That's all I want. You know, he's a young quarterback. Peyton Manning, his rookie year, led the NFL in interceptions. They generally all struggle, but there's flashes, right? I want to see Shador establish himself as an up-and-coming young player. And if Cleveland doesn't want him because they want Arch Manning, a guy who they've never seen play, that's all good. Trade him. Trade him to a team that's going to treat him right and give him a real opportunity. That guy can play football. Now, sometimes we look at these players and it's almost like they're bigger than life. Think about this for a second. Deion Sanders Jr., the oldest son, Shiloh, who's in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers camp, and Shador. These are young people. They have to compartmentalize trying to make a professional team versus seeing their father deal with a debilitating illness. Think about that for a second. Forget about football. Their dad just had his bladder taken out and put together like some little puzzle. Let me take some skin here, let me take some intestine here, and rework some facsimile of a bladder. I'm like, yo, folks, have some compassion. Have some empathy. You know, so we got to do better. But Shador's balling, and I love to see the vets rally around him. I love it. Andrew the Goat says, oh, yes, the Patriots do want to see the Steelers. Really? I don't realize that. Oh, you don't realize the Patriots defense is way better than last year and probably faster. Yeah, what about the offense, though? Frank, if there is one person in sports you could meet, who would that person be? For me, it's Steph Curry. Steph is cool. I've been in Steph's presence in the locker room. But I understand why you would want to meet Steph. Steph is amazing. I feel close to Steph a little bit again because his college coach, Bob McKillop, who I believe is in the Hall of Fame, was a high school coach when I was in high school. So I know Coach McKillop very well. I know his college coach out in Long Island in New York. So Stephen Curry's college coach was a high school coach on Long Island. And I know him very well. The question is, one person in sports you could meet. Who would that person be? I would have to think about that, but I think you would help me out if you told me a sport. If you gave me a sport, that would probably help me out a little bit because I've met actually most of my idols. I met Ronnie Lott. I met Magic Johnson. I met Dr. J. A lot of these guys now are my contemporaries. These are guys who I played against. I played against Jordan. I played against Mullen. I played against all these guys. So I don't look at them in that light. I think Jason Kidd, Gary Payton. I played against all these players. I would like to spend some time with Cameron Hayward. as a just football randomly, I would love to spend some time with Cameron Hayward because he's viewed as just like this really great leader, humanitarian. This is his 13th, 14th year playing with the Steelers. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, I believe. And a lot of folks don't know Cameron's younger brother plays in the NFL also. I don't know if he's still there. He used to play for the Steelers also. But Cameron Hayward's father, Ironhead Hayward, was a really good football player also. And he died early on in his life. And to see this guy ascend, make a name for himself, and put up an Hall of Fame career, I would love to talk to him. Golf. I think Jack Nicklaus. I like to talk to Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus, to me, his awareness in terms of how society was changing, I think he could have been a real jerk to a lot of people, and I don't think he was that way. I think he was somebody who truly wanted to see the game of golf grow and be there for everybody. And the way that he embraced Tiger, I like that. So Jack Nicklaus in golf. Major League Baseball, what I want to talk to in Major League Baseball, Derek Jeter. And Jeter is one of the few guys in baseball who I really admire. And again, I like Jeter because Jeter is like Steph in a lot of ways. I mean, literally the world is eating out of his hands. And he had to manage all of that. And just kind of talking, he had great parents, but dude was all about the team. So that selflessness in a world that implores you to be selfish and all about yourself, I want to talk to Derek Jeter. Stephon Diggs is still one of the top one receivers in the NFL. He's a good player. He's still good. I don't know if he's a top. I would say he's not a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL at this point. But he's a good player. And Vrabel's a hell of a coach. And they got a great offensive coordinator, a good defensive coordinator. So, I mean, I expect New England to be better. I do, excuse me. But I expect the Jets to be a lot better also. So, what do you guys think about my take on Shannon Sharpe? What do you think? You think he has another run in him because of the things that I said, or do you think he's toast? What do you think? I always root for the underdog. I don't really root for Shannon Sharpe. Just as somebody in the business, I recognize that he has something that a lot of folks don't have. And I think he's going to fool a lot of people. I want to give the Valkaries some love. They take on the Aces on Wednesday. They've had an incredible year. One thing makes me sad about the Valkaries. Most of those young ladies are on one-year contracts. And while the organization is making money hand over fist, while they're probably going to rip up the contract of the coach and probably make her one of the highest paid coaches in the league, some of those young ladies are making around $70,000. And they're not going to be on the team next year. They all got one-year contracts. So, anybody who thinks that the WNBA women don't deserve more money, I got a bone to pick with you. I really do. It's funny, I just said that, TG. Frank, thoughts on Val's head coach, Nakase, for Coach of the Year? I think she deserves it, hands down. Granted, they played 43 games. They got like 15 more games. I don't think they're going to fall on their faces. I think if they play 500 basketball, they're going to make the playoffs. But the State is no joke. Now, I think that the officials are getting a little tired of her. They teed her up today. She's pretty animated on the sidelines, and I think she's going to have to manage that a little bit. But in terms of game planning, in terms of getting her team ready to play, she's maniacal. What a great coach. Phenomenal. Key says, which NFL conference do you believe is the toughest? I think it's either the West or the North of either NFC. Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I'm going to go with Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cleveland. I think that's the toughest conference. That's a gauntlet, yo. That is an absolute gauntlet. I said this last year, 8 months ago. I've seen enough of Joe Burrow to know that he's already one of the greatest quarterbacks ever to play the game. I've seen enough. Joe Burrow is that dude. He's that guy. And they're going to probably finish third because it's going to come down to Pittsburgh and Baltimore. That's how tough that division is. Okay, I just want that. Okay. The New York Liberty finally ended their losing streak. Yeah, if Breanna Stewart's out, I really can't judge them. I just want to see them play good basketball. I thought they played a great game against the Lynx on the road midweek, and they won today. Sabrina Ionescu, to me, is first team All-WNBA, and she should probably start getting some MVP votes. Windosha says, Shannon will be fine. He's not the first brother to get caught up with some money and won't be the last. Yeah, listen. Let me be honest for a second. Hopefully this doesn't come back to bite me. But I think being honest is important. I'm not going to disparage the young lady who sued him, who might have been assaulted. I have no idea. But she settled and got off OnlyFans. Okay, we know that. My whole thing is this. Although I haven't been in a lot of relationships, I have no problems being in a relationship if I'm with someone who I'm vibing with, I love, and is mutually beneficial. So I'm not a guy who's out there trying to cheat with a bunch of folks. That's not me. I got other things to do. And I think part of that is because, most of the women I've ever been with have been great women, smart. I'm attracted to smart women. I am. I like intelligence. Now, obviously, we're all visual beings, and I'm sure women have things that they look at that they like, but I like smart women. That's what I'm attracted to. And, so I don't care how aesthetically pleasing you might be to my eyes. I'm waiting for what comes out of your mouth. Doesn't mean you need to be a brain surgeon, no. But have some perspective on the world. That's what I'm attracted to. So hopefully Shannon's going to learn from this, because that was kind of crazy. I'm not going to disrespect that woman. I don't know her, but come on, man. Really? Stop it. I think that the Broncos conference is the hardest in the NFL. KC, Denver, Oakland, and the LA Chargers. Yeah, that's tough too, man. That's tough. Nightcap. I like women with nice asses. I'm not mad at you. I kind of miss Rachel Nichols as being an NBA announcer. I like Rachel Nichols. And again, I thought that she brought a level of intelligence to the broadcast, and I thought she was a little different looking. I like Rachel Nichols. I do. And she kind of gets up, she's a little risque, and when she talks, communicates. I like her. I think she got burned based on what they heard her say, but I'm like, come on. I thought what she said about people infringing on her little career at that point was not the most outlandish thing I've ever heard before. I like Rachel Nichols. Keith said the West is a beast. Yes, it is. No question about it. Nightcap. If I could spend one night with a woman from ESPN, it would be Malika Andrews. Or Lou's sister. What is Lou's sister? Who's that? Lou's sister. You guys try to take this show in a totally different direction. I think, don't hold me to this, I think Malika Andrews is married to Brenneman now. Her sister, preferably Malika, though. They're both attractive women. Yeah. And they're from the town. You never know it, but yeah, they're from Oakland. From Oakland. Yeah, I'm not gonna comment on her. And Andrew, no, it was Maria Taylor. She went to NBC Sports. Yes. Do you believe Jimmy slept with Rachel? No, I don't think so. I think she was married, right? Maybe he was married. I'm gonna say this, y'all. I'm gonna say this. I might run into these people at some point in my life. So I'm not gonna delve into that. But I will tell you this. People in the industry do sleep with each other. That does happen. That does happen. Many a person have ruined their career because they were playing hanky-panky with somebody who is down the hall from them. It happens. They've written books about ESPN, by the way. Some of the prominent people that you hear, there's some crazy stories. Crazy stories. I almost did something that I would have regretted. I almost did it. Probably had an opportunity to do it, and I didn't do it. And I'm so happy that I didn't do it. Because it probably would have been bad for me. It probably would have been, at the end of the day, it probably would have been bad because people talk and stuff gets out. You're better off doing your job and going about your business and engaging elsewhere. You guys are funny though. She is married, but I believe she slept with him in the bubble. Whoa! The bubble was closed off from civilization. Hey, man. Let me tell you something. This was my mantra when I was out there in them streets a little bit. Keep your mouth shut. All right? Keep your mouth shut. If you are the type of guy that wants to run around and tell everybody, you know, who you got down with, what you're actually saying is, you know what? I didn't deserve to be there. This was really over my head. So I got to run and go tell somebody else. You know, keep your mouth shut. Shut up. You know, you might get another opportunity. And like when you think that like the hardest thing that you have to do is kind of face that person again in maybe a business setting or, you know, and you think things are going to get weird, you surprise yourself. They don't get weird. They don't. You find a way to be as professional as you need to be. You get in trouble when you start running your mouth. Shut up. Be quiet. Enjoy it. Here we go. Shannon should just sign Jim Taylor to a show. Wow. Talk about ratings. It's really going to be interesting with MJ being the broadcaster for NBC. I wonder if he's going to take some shots at LeBron James for his flopping and all that stuff. Yo, dude, Mike ain't playing. All right? Mike is not going to play games. You know, he's not going to be disrespectful, but if you know anything about Michael Jordan, he going to tell the truth. Trust me on that. They tried to do Emmy dirty. Glad he got his career back on track. They did. They did. Yo, listen. Emmy Udoka's a G, all right? Talk about cred. That dude got more cred than any coach in the NBA. You think his players not going to listen to him? Frantic Rage, my guy. On a lighter note, Frank, did you watch the new Naked Gun movie? If not, will you? Yes, I have not watched it. I'm going to watch it this week. And my movie buddy had something to do and took a week off. So I wasn't able to go this week. But it got I'm starting to question Rotten Tomatoes. It got 100 rating. Is that true or not? You know, I'm going to see it anyway. But tell me, is it good? Everybody says it's good. Bad as one way. Okay, bad as one was Rosalind when she worked for the Warriors. Good Lord. Oh, Golden Moody? Roz? Roz is a baller too. Roz is no jerk. I think Kerry Burke is fine with NBC Sports. You guys are jonesing all these female announcers, huh? You got eyes, right? Ain't nothing wrong with watching and seeing. Yeah, Kerry Burke. I mean, married, children, doing her thing, and yeah, not mad at her. Trey Lance, Jim Harbaugh thoughts. I think Jim Harbaugh is the perfect coach for Trey Lance. Perfect. Because he's a confidence builder. He's a confidence builder. He is a physical football coach. And Jim Harbaugh coaches football like they coached in the 80s. You know, station to stations, we're going to take 5 chances per game, but we're going to run the football. We're going to throw the ball to our tight ends, and we're going to win with defense. We're going to play field position. He's perfect for Trey Lance. Perfect. Just got back from the movie. Saw F1. Good movie. Yeah, it's excellent. I saw it when it first came out, Mark. Gravy Graves. How you doing, brother? Yeah, F1 is so good. It actually makes the novice interested in Formula racing. That's how good it was. I'm a big Brad Pitt fan as an actor. Brad's my guy. Did you hear about Bryce Harper talking shit to Manfred in the locker room only in MLB booth? Okay. Yeah, I did. And you know, I'm not a fan of Manfred. And people talked about some of the things that he's done for baseball during his tenure that has actually worked, and I can't deny that. But he didn't do for Oakland what David Stern did for Sacramento, and I will never forget that. I will never forget that. Oakland, the fans of Oakland did nothing wrong to lose their team. And Manfred could have stopped it. He could have stopped it, and he didn't. So he's never a guy who I'm going to have a whole lot of empathy for. And he wants a salary cap in MLB. He wants a salary cap. If I'm a player, I don't want a salary cap. I get it. Aussie Rules, Netflix, The Diplomat, and Lincoln Lawyer. Love these series. Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate it. On Amazon Prime last week, I saw Heads of State with John Cena and Idris Elba. That was good. That was good. It was funny. Lost a little steam towards the end, but I had a really good time. Talking about Naked Gun. All right. Yeah. I like Pamela Anderson too. I mean, to me, this is me. I like the way that Pamela Anderson looks now a hell of a lot better I did when she was all jacked up. I mean, I think she's aging beautifully by less makeup. I think she looks fantastic. I'm happy for those two. Andrew to go. Prayers up for Vicky. I'm going to go to bed, okay? God bless everyone. Yes, sir. TG, of course I know you are. All right. All right, y'all. An hour and 32 minutes is in the books. It felt like 30 minutes. I think this was an awesome show. Let me know in your comments. Go to the website in the Dungeon Show, my channel. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're listening for the first time. If you're not subscribed, hit the notification button. But this felt like fun to me. Maybe we'll do something midweek, Thursday. There's an NFL game, but by next weekend, we're going to have so much to talk about because there'll be a ton of preseason games happening. Maybe the Kuminga thing will be resolved. Who knows? But yeah, I have to tell you, this has been an incredible show. Thank you. Once again, I want to send out a shout out and prayers and positive vibes to the great Vicky. And hopefully Greg Popper is going to have fruitful experiences as he fights cancer. With that said, I'm going to say my thing and get out of here. Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. Until the next time, I'm Frank Red. Good night, everybody. Peace.